Welcome back to the CMO Summit. Before we get going with the next helping of inspiring content, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping us bring this event to your screens. And don't forget to visit our website where you can access even more content and check out our in-person events. We could be coming to a city near you. Enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the CMO Summit. I'm pleased to introduce our next session of the day from one of our sponsors, Closed. And we've got Nate Bagley and Trenton Rump, who are going to be talking about win-loss analysis for marketing leaders and how win-loss analysis can level up your marketing strategy. So feel free to get involved, put your questions in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from, and enjoy the session. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Caitlin. We're so excited to be here. These events are always exciting because we love talking to fellow marketers. It's like you get us, we get you. We kind of know we're going through similar problems and similar struggles, especially right now as we're winding up 2023, doing some 2024 planning. Am I a year off? Winding up 2022, doing 2023 planning. I'm already in the future.
You just love planning ahead.
That's what happens when you're a time traveler.
You're so good at planning.
I'm so good at planning. I'm all the way in, like it's amazing. More than 12 months in advance. Anyway, there's a lot of stresses that come with that as a marketing leader. It's like, okay, what worked last year? You know, a lot of you might be feeling pipeline shrink a little bit. You might be feeling a little bit of the pains of the economic downturn that we're facing right now. And with that comes maybe some sleepless nights, some anxiety about what do we do to grow next year? Where do we spend our budget? And I hope that over the next 25 to 30 minutes that we have together, we can speak to some of the issues and the struggles and especially the worries and anxieties that you might be feeling as a marketing leader and help provide you with some solutions to some of the more difficult to solve problems that marketing teams are facing right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's marketing confidence is a huge dilemma for marketers because all of us are sitting there second guessing our strategies and we're being second guessed from other leaders in other departments. You're not driving enough leads. We're not seeing wins. We're not seeing the right types of leads. So having that utmost level of confidence in your strategies is critical to level up, be a strong CMO. And it's critical for your teams to feel like they have that confidence in the initiatives they're taking on and they don't feel burnout and a loss of energy in driving these campaigns. Honestly, we're seeing in the last 2 quarters, it's going to be harder and harder for marketers to maintain that level of confidence they've had in the past. Because as you allude to, we're going to see, if we haven't already, and we'll probably see maybe deeper, cuts in your win rate and a slower or less amount of pipeline. And those two things, those two metrics are paramount to murdering marketers' confidence, right? Yeah. And you're going to get more scrutiny on, well, how many leads are you driving that are actually closing? And so we want to talk about some of the ways that we at Closed are using win-loss analysis because we do it in a very robust way and we believe we do it the right way. And some of the ways our clients are using win-loss analysis to up-level that marketing confidence and get them through some of these bumpy economic times and know for sure that they are losing to pricing and budget versus your marketing's bad, you're not doing the right things with brand strength and reputation, or your sales process is broken or product and those sorts of things.
So if what we've described so far resonates with you, we'd love it if you just drop in the comments and let us know maybe what are some of the marketing confidence issues that you're dealing with, or if you share our common concerns, we'd just love to make sure that we're interacting with you guys in the chat and that we answer any questions that you have along the way. Yeah,
we'd love to have this a little bit more two-way. We feel a little funny right now just talking to a camera and we're sitting a little close to talk to each other comfortably. So the more you can drop stuff in the chats and comments, we'd love to dive into some of those specific needs or concerns you have and help you understand the things we're doing. So, so we just start diving in a little bit. I have a couple of points on bring, unless you had something you were about to go on. Okay. So first, we just want to level set with everyone on how we think about win-loss analysis. Because a lot of times in conversations I've had with people, when I say we do win-loss analysis, they immediately think, oh, you go into our CRM and analyze the loss reason in the CRM. And then that's how you tell us if we win or lose. And I'm like, no, that's the very, very, very basic way of doing it. And my experience, it's the least valuable way to do win-loss analysis. So when we're talking about win-loss analysis, we specifically mean a robust program where you're trying to understand on every deal why you win and lost, and you're basing it specifically in the buyer's perspective and the buyer feedback, right? So I just want to level set there. When we say win-loss analysis, that's what we mean, because I'm sure some of you, when we've said win-loss analysis, have already thought, I haven't seen much value in pulling data from the CRM and seeing what the sales rep put in as the loss.
If that's the case, it's because there's not much value there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've done it that way and haven't driven any strategy from it or really had impact cross-functionally or even in my marketing strategies from doing it that way.
But your CRM will tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
But win-loss analysis, when done right, will tell you why it's happening and help you create a strategy to actually make changes to your go-to-market, to your messaging, to your sales processes, and which we'll get into in just a minute.
Exactly. So one of the things that we have a problem with as marketers is we're taught and it's ingrained in us to measure as much as we can to prove ROI of our marketing spend and to feel like we can get a seat at the top tables of the companies and driving strategy and talking about building budgets and really being a true leader as a CMO. And so because of that, we've kind of fallen into this trap of building strategies on what's easiest to measure and over-indexing on the touch points that we can measure that our users have, that the customers have. And we've become obsessed with touch points. And I've shared a couple of anecdotal stories in previous things where it's weird to measure touch points when you don't know for sure if some of those touch points were actually a very negative experience for your customer. And you just look at the CRM and you're like, no, we had that touch point and the deal closed. So it had to have been a positive thing. Not always. There's many cases where maybe you send a direct mail and that person hated the direct mail experience. I've had that personally happen where I sent a very cheap direct mail campaign into an ABM strategy into a company, and I overdid it because I'm like, I just want to get their attention. So I think I sent like 9 or 10 of these really cheap boxes with cheap headphones. And then the call to action was like, join us for a demo and I will give you a way better headphone at the end of this if you listen to us. And I had a person, this rarely happens, but the person emailed me and just skewered me, like was angry in this email that I was very, very unthoughtful about the environmental impact I had with this campaign. He was very bothered that I drove his team nuts with such cheap crap that I sent them. And it was a really bad touch point. And if he hadn't have emailed me back, the funny thing is in his email, he said, I hate everything about this, but your software actually looks pretty promising. So I do need a demo, unfortunately. But he was like mad that he's
like reluctant.
Yeah, exactly. So if he hadn't shared that experience, I would have looked in the CRM and later saw, hey, we did an op from this ABM.
Direct mail for the win.
Touch point is amazing. Yeah. Direct mail. In reality, I probably could have gotten that from him with just an email because he liked the software enough it stood up on its own without all the gimmicky ABM stuff, the direct mail. So sometimes we assume that just because there's a touch point attributed to a deal that gets closed, that it was a positive touch point when it may not have been positive at all, or it may have been a touch point, but it may not have just had an overwhelmingly positive impact. Right.
So talk to me about how win-loss analysis can kind of offset that.
Exactly. So it does it in two ways. So one, as you're figuring out what's my marketing mix, where am I going to spend money, what's the best return? If you're just looking at touch points and you pull this data from the CRM, you're going to see things about, hey, it looks like our events strategy is 5 times more expensive as paid digital in getting opportunities. If you only look at it that way from the CRM touch points measurement data, you are going to start thinking about maybe I should build my strategy by moving my entire events budget or most of it over to paid ads, right? If you do win-loss analysis the right way,
and this is true story. This is like something we're doing right now.
If you do win-loss analysis the right way, and you have buyer feedback from each won and lost deal, you can go into those deals and you'll start to read things like, because you guys went to this event, I didn't hear about you there first, but because you went to this event, you were
this event right now.
Yeah, you were the only vendor I looked at. You established your reputation in such a credible way that I knew I could trust you and I wanted to close with you. Or you see things like, I was just talking to a customer about this same exact thing where they lost a deal and the rep put the loss reason as price. And then they went and did a win-loss interview like 2 months after the deal was lost. So they never would have heard about this if they hadn't done the win-loss interview. And in the win-loss interview, the prospect said, unfortunately, like 2 weeks after the deal closed, you guys were at an event and you spoke. And if I had seen that before I made the decision, I would have bought you. So then you immediately know maybe that event they went to didn't drive any ops or not enough leads. And so you're immediately thinking that event was a waste of time and money. But then if you can read win-loss feedback that says these events that, maybe didn't drive ops, they established your brand strength and reputation in the way that made you win. And they helped your other channels be more effective.
And it helps clear up the attribution question.
Exactly.
So some of these wins might have been attributed to like paid search, or they might have been attributed to like an SEO campaign or a cold outreach. But really, what the most meaningful and impactful thing interaction that they had with your brand before they bought was something completely different. And when you do a win-loss interview, you can actually find out what those the most impactful marketing motions you're doing are, and double down on those, because who cares if in my opinion, it matters less that it can be tracked and more that what you're actually doing is impact. It has impact.
It drove an outcome. Exactly. Or didn't kill an outcome.
Right.
And one of the other cool things that it's helping our team's marketing confidence in, and we're helping some customers do this as well. This is the first time in my career where I've been able to show creative brand marketers like copywriters and graphic designers and some of our content initiative owners the true impact they're having on revenue. And all of us as marketers have always talked about let's be revenue minded marketers, or let's measure down to revenue. How do I get all the way down to that level so that I can show my ROI? Well, you're not the only one on your team that wants that. Trust me. Copywriters, graphic designers, videographers, web developers, all these other creatives on the team that never get to see really the impact the work they're doing is having on the company's revenue. They care, or they should care. Maybe they don't have the right people.
They do care when they hear about it. Absolutely.
And they want to see it. So one thing we're doing in our win-loss program right now is in these buyer interviews, when we interview about why did you choose closed or not, and we're coaching other companies to do the same thing, they will ask questions like, tell me how the marketing content impacted your decision. And in that question, people will start to say things, qualitative feedback about your website or about your podcast or about a webinar or about ABM or whatever.
Or your social media or a blog. The list goes on and on.
On and on. Yeah.
But you can figure out, hey, what are the things that matter the most?
Exactly.
And double down on that.
Yep. And then we score those things. So we tag that as marketing content is a category. We call them decision drivers that led to an outcome, either a win or a loss, or influenced the outcome. And you can start to measure marketing content is positively influencing wins or negatively influencing wins and losses. And then you can take that to your team in your marketing meetings or at a regular cadence, and you can actually show the more creative side of your marketing team how they are driving true outcomes, and you'll build that empathy that they should have for sales, marketing, and revenue even higher than you've ever been able to do before.
Okay, we are blazing through our time here. And there's one other section that we want to cover. Before we dive into that, I just want to let Tess and Tara and some of the other people who are asking questions know we will address your questions at the end. We'll do our best within the time constraints. But before we get to those, I just want to pivot to the other way that you can leverage win-loss analysis as a marketing leader to kind of establish some credibility and associate your efforts to direct revenue.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about how marketing leaders could be using a win-loss program to kind of build up that reputation?
Yeah. So a lot of us as marketers also want this ability to influence cross-functionally, influence product roadmap, influence sales experience. And it's challenging. And people on your team are working on this and they're dreaming about it day in and day out. How can, like a product marketer is, how can I help the sales experience be better? Or how can I help product team build the right roadmap? They're thinking about this. They are hungry for it. And I think CMOs should be as well. So the best way we've seen is, and I use this example all the time. If you're a marketer and you see 12, 15 different problems in the company among pricing, sales experience, product gaps, et cetera, maybe customer service problems. And you could go and solve all of those by yourself. You shouldn't be a marketer. You should be the next billionaire creating every business and solving every problem.
Right.
That's unrealistic. It's not a real, there are very, very, very few people, if anybody, that can do that. There's no like superhumans, right?
Right.
So what we coach is, if you want to influence cross-functionally, take the win-loss analysis data you're finding, categorize it by, here's the product gaps or strengths, here are the sales process weaknesses or strengths, and you should just be the person or the department that shines the light, like we talk about, shines the light on these problems, and then let the person who's day in and day out thinking about how to solve those problems already solve them.
Right.
But you were so influential in shining the light on them that they won't forget that. You will become that influencer across all these different functional teams.
Yeah, I like to think about this as it's like each organization is trying to run at peak performance.
Yeah.
And they've got all sorts of tools and best practices and leaders and coaching and all sorts of other things to help them operate at maximum capacity, whether that's taking care of customers, whether that's sales and generating pipeline. Everybody's trying to maximize output. And to me, that analogy can extend to like somebody going to the gym and eating healthy to optimize their physical health.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be as healthy as can be. But there's another aspect of health that is the stuff that's unseen that you can't really control, like if you have cancer growing in your body, doesn't matter how many salads you eat or how many times you go to the gym, it can be eroding at your health. And what win-loss analysis is it gives you the ability to scan basically like an MRI or something like that and detect all of the problem areas and the weaknesses that are in all the other departments. And if marketing can be in charge of that, be the diagnostic branch of your company, then you have the opportunity to go in and directly say like, hey, we're getting feedback that the demo is weak with this specific customer persona. Like, let's tweak the demo when we talk to this specific buyer. Absolutely. Or you can go to the product team and say, hey, it seems like our enterprise people are not closing because we don't have this integration build out. And I'll bet we would win more deals. We've had several interviews come in that say, if we had this specific integration, they would buy.
Yeah.
And like those are the types of information that make marketing the heroes, and it directly impacts revenue.
Yeah. And I'll jump right off of your metaphor there, because the other cool part is you will find weaknesses, or like you call them, invisible problems, but you may also find a superpower or hidden strength, right? Yeah. Like if you did the scan and all of a sudden it turns out you could take a bullet and not die. I don't know if the scan could ever tell you that, but you discover I'm Superman.
Right.
Now you know these are the strengths that we should double down on to go win against our competition or to win in this market. And we'll work on the weaknesses and the things we need to improve. But sometimes those are way bigger fixes.
Yeah. If
you can find strengths, you can immediately start winning more on those. We have a couple of questions. I want to answer this one from Tara. It looks like it says, how do you then add those folks later to your attribution for reporting over time? So here's how I'm doing it at Closed and how we're coaching our customers to do it. We have 3 levels of attribution. And inside of those, you can have like multi-touch touch points, right? But the 3 primary pillars of attribution are sales rep. I want to know, what is the sales rep's opinion on what drove this? Or I want the sales rep to at least have the ability to say like, hey, my outbound actually helped here too. Like, cool, that's awesome. I don't care if it's not a battle between me and that person. If they're saying it's outbound, awesome. Like I have other ways to show we all helped. It's a team build momentum, right? The other one is systems. So what did my marketing automation system say? What did the form say? What did the website say? What did my ads platforms tell me it came through as? So the systems, like how we commonly think, that one is getting weaker over time as we know, like cookie adoption is leaving and all these other things. So that one is another one. And then the last one that I like building my strategy on the most is the buyer feedback. So the first 2 are already in the CRM. Your sales rep should already be tagging how they think they got a hold of this op. Your system should already be doing that. And you can get as deep into that as you want with multi-touch attribution, or just last or first, or what triggered the op, or whatever model you want to look at for attribution there. The last one is kind of the most challenging, and I've seen it solved right now in 2 different ways. Self-reported attribution on forms, where your buyers actually say how they heard about you on the form. That one I'm a little less of a fan of because there's a little bit of bias there, in my opinion, where some buyers are more inclined to do that if they really are a true fan of you and they believe that you would like them more if they did that for you.
Right.
Kind of a weird thing. But the way I like to do it here is we take the win-loss data and we tag the question, how did you hear about us? So it's pretty much the same thing, but it's at the end of the deal when it's closed. So now the attribution is already tied to what triggered this person the most in the win or the loss momentum, and then what else influenced them, right? Mm-hmm. So we take that data, and there's two ways you can pipe it back into Salesforce in different fields or whatever CRM you're using, or shameless plug, you can use closed platform and look through that data as well, and then combine them and have a truer story buyer's journey and really understand how to build strategies that aren't over-indexed on these touch points that may be negative or positive, and you're kind of guessing at that. Anyway, so I hope that answered that question.
Awesome. Now, some of you might be wondering, or hearing this whole thing, they're like, and be thinking, dang, that sounds really cool. It'd be cool if we could like test this out,
right?
Or it'd be nice, it sounds nice. I don't know if I have the resources right now to do this. So as marketing leaders, we wanted to hook you up and see if we could kind of like give you a taste of what it's like to experience win-loss analysis. Mm-hmm. So what we wanted to do, we've never really done this before, but we want to offer you 3 free win-loss interviews.
Yeah.
And the way to claim those interviews is you just go to winloss101.com, and we put together a 6-week course with little modules that are about 30 minutes each. You can put one of your staff through it. You could do it yourself. But if you can complete the first 3 homework assignments, which are basically to pick a revenue problem you want to investigate, like maybe you're losing to a specific competitor, or you have a product that isn't selling like you thought it would sell, or there's a million different other ideas, but you know where you might be underperforming or might have an issue in your business. So pick that revenue problem, figure out a couple of questions that you would want us to ask your buyers, and then pull a list of contacts. You do those 3 things, and we'll have our consultants go out and talk to 3 of your buyers and do a full win-loss analysis interview so that you can see what it's like to actually get firsthand account information from your buyers to tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
Yeah, and it's a cool offer because if you send somebody on your team through this, they're going to, learn a skill set that's going to help them in the long term and you in the long term. And 2, you've got nothing to lose if we give you 3 free interviews. You're just going to get more data to help you build out for next year, which isn't going to be an easy a task at all. So the more we can help, we'd love to.
And our hope is that you can use the data that you gather here to see how you can, 1, increase your marketing confidence, and then 2, have a direct impact on revenue across the entire business.
Exactly.
It's a magical thing when you aren't nervous anymore about where you should be spending your time and energy as a marketing team, or whether or not people see you as like just a budget suck, like an extra, like sometimes marketing departments are seen as being like redundant.
Yeah, the cost center, totally.
Yeah. We just spend money. We don't make money.
The pretty images department that spends a lot of money.
Yeah. But when you run the win-loss analysis campaign, like program through your team, makes a big difference.
Yeah. And I'll just close and then we'll open it up to a little more questions here on one more point. In my opinion, 2023 for a lot of companies is going to look like this. You are going to be doing your initiatives. You're going to be doing performance marketing, demand gen, and win rates and pipelines are going to decrease. So you're going to be questioning, and your team is going to be questioning, and your colleagues are going to be questioning more than they have in the past, especially if you've been winning easy from like a boosted bubbled economy. You're going to be questioning more and more in the past, is the marketing I'm doing a winning strategy or not? And those metrics are going to start dropping, and you're going to not know for sure if you're doing the right things.
Is this because of the economy, or is this because we're doing something wrong?
And your CRM data, your sales reps, they're going to start telling you more and more. You're going to start hearing, and then your buyers should start telling you more and more too, that you're going to lose because of budget, timing, economic factors, whatever. You've probably already started to see this, like companies are doing layoffs and budget freezes, so they're buying less. I think the best way to have the utmost confidence in whether or not that's the truth, are you actually losing because budget is tightened up, or are you losing because your sales process or your product or your marketing is bad? The best way to check that and have confidence in your answer, I think, is getting the deep buyer feedback that win-loss can provide. Because then what you'll start to see is, yeah, we're losing more than we did in the past. But as I read through the buyer feedback, the reasons we are losing are budget, timing, or economic factors. I would have bought you because I love your product. I love your marketing. I loved the sales rep. I just can't because it came down to I have to either lay off this headcount or buy your product. You're going to see that be a loss reason like crazy. But if you aren't doing win-loss in a truly great way to really understand if it's the right cause, and you're relying on your sales team to tell you it's pricing and budget, you're going to question, your company's going to question, okay, is the sales team just covering? Like, are they just using the economy as an excuse? Which that could be reality, and that's okay if that's reality. But it's not okay if they're using it as an excuse when you actually have core weaknesses or things you could shore up on your product, sales, or marketing that would help you win more. And I think the next year, some companies are going to have to continue to do great marketing and know they're doing great marketing and hold on until those reasons of budget, pricing, and economic factors start to go away. And you should, if you're doing marketing the right way and you know you're doing it the right way, you should start to come out of that immediately having that flipped and you're starting to win again. So that's what I think next year's going to look like, and which is why I'm excited for the people doing win-loss analysis the right way, because they're going to have that confidence. They're going to know for sure, I'm doing great marketing. Right. I just am doing it in the worst economy and I've seen in a while, right? And that's okay. So, but without that confidence, you're going to drive yourself nuts, and your team's going to feel that too.
Love it. Yeah. I'm glad you hit on that.
Yeah.
So we got one or two quick questions before our time runs out. I think we have like 3 minutes left. Davlin asked, do you guys have this in podcast form? I want to share it with somebody. So just for your information, we are launching a podcast in like the next week or two. The URL's not working right now, but if you want to go check it out like next week, go to winlossshow.com.
Yeah.
And you're going to see regular conversations like this come out, and hopefully that'll be something that we might even share this specific conversation.
Totally.
As one of our episodes.
Yeah. And Davlin, we have done a win-loss podcast for PMA, the Product Marketing Alliance. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm sorry if you need to be a member of that to access it or not.
You don't. It's public.
Oh, perfect. So that you could refer them there in the beginning. And then the other thing is, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I just want you guys to win more. And I understand even in my own motion, budget's going to become a thing. So I'm not going to sit here and try to like win all of you as an op. I would rather help you win. And so if I can be a resource to this person as well, we'd be happy to put them through Win-Loss 101, which is free, help give them the tools to start doing this motion on their own. And then we
no
can
strings
see where it goes from there. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a huge believer in this, because I've had in my marketing career moments where it's been huge losses and it sucks and I haven't felt like I've had the help. And this is the first time in my career where I've really seen, wow, like this can have such a huge impact on the confidence that I should have had 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I want to help the people that are in that situation any way I can.
We had one other question in here, Trent, specifically about how to calculate win rates.
Yeah.
So there's technically, I just do a really quick, like 30-second recap.
Yeah,
there's two different ways to do this.
Yeah. So basically, because it gets pretty nuanced if you're trying to figure out like per product line and you're selling packaged deals. So basically there's two ways we measure win rate. That's by amount of deals, amounts of wins or losses, and by revenue. And there's two reasons to measure it that way. If you're doing it just by deal or op amount, so how many ops have I won versus how many ops have I lost, and that ratio is your win rate. If you're just doing it that way, it doesn't tell you as much or as different of a story as if you're doing it by revenue, because you may see, our win rate just from a deal amounts is 50%. You're like, oh, we're doing great. But then when you do it by revenue or deal size and you segment your win rate and you split the funnel and then measure your win rate like that, you might see things like, well, our win rate for revenue is actually like 20%. So yeah, we're winning a ton of small deal sizes, but for some reason we can never win enterprise deals. So you're winning large volume, but not a large amount of dollar revenue. You got a problem there. Like if you're trying to go upstream to enterprise, that highlights a problem that you didn't realize you had, because you were just looking at your 50% awesome win rate on deal amounts instead of on I'm kind of conflating the two, on the amount of opportunities. versus the amount of revenue. So we like to measure it in both of those ways.
And this is another good reason to use a tool like Closed, because we have dashboards that allow you to compare like team to team or product to product, or you can filter your win rate by deal size and you can find, or by competitor. Yeah, that's awesome. Like when we go up against such and such competitor, our win rate's 20%. Why?
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you factor it by deal size, it's like our win rate's 50%. But like you said, if we do it by deal size, it's only 20% if we're in the enterprise category.
Yeah, exactly.
And so your win rate in general is a great thing to keep a pulse on, especially if you're a marketing leader. Yeah. But it's really important to be able to filter that data and look at it in different ways so that you can truly understand how you're winning and why you're winning, and make changes to increase the win rate overall, but also increase win rate in those specific niche cases.
Totally.
So
cool.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps up our time, I think. We've gone for 31 minutes and 25 seconds. Caitlin's going to jump back in here and wind us up. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Great time. Were we everything you hoped and dreamed we would be? Everything and more. That was great. Thanks so much. And thank you to everyone for joining and asking your questions and getting involved in the chat. And a big thanks to Closed for supporting the event as well. We hope to see you at another event soon. We've got 2 sessions left today, so stick around and get involved with them. And yeah, one more big thank you. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you.